As a result of World War II, the Bracero Program was established in 1942 to alleviate the shortage of individuals available to work in the United States. While many perceive such program as a form of aid to those in need of jobs, the reality of this program must not be romanticized. On paper, the program claimed to have certain rules and regulations, but stories of former braceros have helped transmit the many flaws this program actually had. Their stories have provided a different perspective of this program. The United States created laws that were supposed to guarantee fair wages, medical care, and transportation to the workers. Such laws were written to lure individuals to accept the creation of the program that was skewed to the economic interest of the United States. The Bracero Program dehumanized the workers through the use of various pre-screening examinations required to enter the United States. The first step to the long procedure of becoming a bracero was to obtain a permit, which often forced the braceros to borrow money and go into debt. After having obtained a permit, they traveled to one of the recruiting centers. Once there, they had to wait with large crowds for indefinite periods. For some, it took months to be called, and others were never called at all. Those who were fortunate enough to be called made it to the second review of candidates. This review took place in recruitment centers that were located inside of border states. A former bracero recalls that they were not selected for their ability to represent Mexico's foreign policy, but for their capacity to work. A Labor Department official was responsible for checking the individual's hands. If they were farm labor experienced, their hands would have calluses on them. In addition, prior to being contracted, they were forced to undergo various health examinations that did not follow any specific protocol. In these examinations, doctors peered into men's nose, ears, and throat, listened to their heartbeat, and examined their genitals and anal area. They were also stripped and told to enter an empty chamber resembling a large shower. Here they were dusted with lindaine intended to rid them of body lice. They were stereotyped as being dirty, and therefore the United States Department of Health felt obligated to take this into their own matters. Rather than conducting such examinations in a way that would secure the safety of the braceros, they were treated like animals and granted no form of protection as they underwent them. Finally, those who made it through all stages of the procedure were granted contracts. Listed in these contracts were their rights as braceros. While these contracts may have included such rules and regulations, many of the braceros did not know how to read or write. As a consequence, many would sign these contracts without further revision. Those who accepted these contracts were given an official immigration ID, granting them permission to work inside the United States fields. Once inside of the United States, the lives of braceros continued to be degraded. They were required to live in small aluminum stables located near the fields in which they were working. These sheds were overcrowded and located in places that were very distant from wider society. During intense cold weather, these shelters lacked heaters, and during intense heat, there was no form of air conditioning. To add on, a former bracero recalls illegal deductions being made by the growers. These deductions extended as far as charging men a fee for the ties they were required to use to bundle carrots. All aspects of the lives of braceros were conducted in the same place under the same authority. This meant that there wasn't a difference between their public and private life. From the moment these individuals made their way through the recruitment center in Mexico until their contracts were terminated, someone else was controlling them. They had no say in determining their wages, location, living arrangements, transportation, or food availability. Conjoined with power was the fear imposed upon these individuals. They were constantly threatened to lose their jobs if they complained or spoke to others about the way they were being treated. In most instances, men who chose to complain were deprived from work or neglected any pay for days previously worked. In other words, growers were very aware of the economic necessities of these men and used that as a form of manipulating the workers. Rather than abiding by the regulations established inside of the contracts, they seized control over them. In other words, despite granting jobs to these braceros, this program was skewed to provide greater benefits to the United States. The United States treated these individuals not as humans, but rather as a commodity that could relieve the economic challenges it was facing as a result of World War II.